Good afternoon and welcome to Matchday Live. It's Derby Day in Manchester and there is Kevin De Bruyne after breaking all of our hearts this weekend. He arrives at Old Trafford. It is a huge Premier League game today, 4:30pm kickoff here in the UK, and you know I always like to give you a little early reveal of the team news. Well, you saw Kevin De Bruyne arriving. Kevin De Bruyne starts today in what will be his last ever Manchester derby. He captains the team today and you can see them arriving now. I'll give you the full team news the second that I'm actually allowed. But there is Matheus Nunes. The sun is shining in Manchester. Will we see Savio and Doku in the starting 11? I will tell you very shortly, but it is a glorious day in Manchester today. The sun is well and truly shining and hopefully it will be shining down on us and we will all be smiling come the end of the day. And there, of course, Ortega and Scott Carson. He always makes us smile. So here is the team news, and in goal it is Ederson. Then it's Matheus Nunes, Ruben Diaz, Gvardiol centre-back alongside Diaz, which means a start for Nico O'Reilly in the derby. Ilkay Gundogan, Mateo Kovacic. And there he is, Kevin De Bruyne, captain today in his last ever Manchester derby. Bernardo Silva. Phil Foden's back. He loves a Manchester derby, does our Phil. And of course, Omar Marmoush. So your subs bench, Ortega, Grealish, Doku, Nico, Vitor Heiss, Savinho, Kusanov, Lewis and McAtee. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us today ahead of the Manchester derby. And we have two very special guests in the studio, two former Blues, two men that are apparently retired, although that doesn't stop them playing in six-a-sides, playing in Legends games, saving kids' penalties at Anfield, just popping up in Baller League, just, coming along. No retirement here whatsoever. David James and Joleon Lescott, welcome.
Thank you.
You played each other 6 times, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know who is got the lead here?
Yeah.
Is one of us winning?
Your team's won 3 times, your team's won twice, and there was one draw.
Yeah, take it.
So Joleon's got the lead on you here, JMO.
No comment.
Let's get into the City team news today then, because it is Derby Day and I'm doing my best to not think about it because my stomach goes all over the place, JMO. But what are you making of that starting 11?
Interesting. To the point that Kevin De Bruyne starts, given the captaincy with the news. Yeah, don't be sad. We have to celebrate what he's done for this club. I'm trying to work out, because I'm surprised at that lineup, if it's because he's in such a good place. He was rested on in the last game and therefore is ready to go at United 100%. And Nico O'Reilly starting, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a bit where I'm looking at it to contain the game and then get them. That's what I see in that lineup.
We're going to have a good old chat about Kevin a bit later on in the show and celebrate him and celebrate his career and celebrate his derby moments as well. But do you think, Joleon, given that he's starting today, and he's not started a lot this season, we've not seen a lot of him, given the announcement was on Friday, do you think that was always the plan or do you think it's a nice coincidence?
I think a bit of both. I think it was a plan for Kevin to announce it when he did, and the rotation that Pep had in the week and not playing. I think, if we're honest, Kevin hasn't been able to probably put back-to-back performances in such a short space of time that often. So it made sense, because if you're going to pick the importance of each game, this is the bigger game, isn't it? It's the derby, and more at stake. They're a tougher team than Leicester, so you would expect us to win at home against Leicester. We did, and now Kevin can do what he does and star in the derby.
So we will. We'll talk about Kev a little bit later on. We will. We'll all take on moment and I'll take a little breath as well. In terms of the other big team news today, Nico O'Reilly starts, Joleon. How exciting for an academy prospect, a lad that joined us at under-8s, to be starting his first derby.
Huge excitement for him. It's not just him, his family, and I'm sure, I don't know when Pep names the team. Hopefully it was today and he was able to sleep, not knowing if he was going to start, because I'm sure there would have been a restless night thinking about the game. But he deserves an opportunity to play. He's proven that he can compete and perform, and not just that, just lead the team in vital moments. So we've seen it with Rico Lewis, when there's an experience out there and you need some young legs to kind of galvanise stuff and restart stuff, and Nico's definitely done that.
Yeah, he was great against Leicester, and obviously we know how big his impact was in that Bournemouth game, James. So Joleon's right. This is not a surprise actually to see him in the starting 11 today.
No, but it's also the derby, isn't it? And there's a difference coming on in a game, as you say, playing the Leicester game. We're expected to win at home. I'm just thinking, is there a frantic load of phone calls in the morning to get tickets?
Probably.
You might have had.
I think you over
24 hours notice. It could have been a little
less
bit
frantic. I think you gamble on the ticket, don't you? You just get tickets in.
Yeah.
If I'm not starting, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's great. And again, it's another indication of Pep as a manager. If you're doing well, then you've got your opportunities to continue doing well. In that sense, for the younger players.
So it's not actually his first derby, we're learning, Jamo. It's not his first derby.
Start.
It's not his first derby start. He started in the Community Shield.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, did he play left back then?
I don't know.
I don't think he played midfield then.
I doubt he played left back. Yeah, midfield.
Because after pre-season he was used as a midfielder. He went to later on in the season, was it, when he played left back? So again, but his confidence will be high. Like, his last two performances have been solid, and he's had a real impact. So Jamo's right. Like, the derby, there's a different consideration for the derby. Emotionally, it's different.
Is there? Yeah, for a player.
100%,
yeah,
100%.
You know
for a
about
manager
it
as well. For a manager, he's like, you need to play. Obviously, all the players can perform, but there's going to be a level of emotional balance that you need to have when it goes up or down. Do you need someone to lift? Do you need someone to just maintain the level and not get carried away with emotion? Because as a young player, this will be a different experience. I know he's played in the Charity Shield, but like you said, it's a different outcome.
I think the other thing is Charity Shield, as much as it's still a wonderful tournament, is beginning of the season, right at the beginning of the season, the end of pre-season. There's a lot of uncertainty. Whereas now this game, City need to win for Champions League qualification. This is a very important game beyond the derby, and therefore Pep is trusting him to start in a very big game, which is all positive, I think.
I am glad that it feels different for the players as well, because obviously it's very, very different for
him. He's a local lad. He's going to feel totally different to him. It's going to feel different to everyone playing in a derby game, but a local lad, I can't imagine that.
I know you were asked this before, but Joleon's favourite derby game, 6-1, I believe.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Favourite victory over Leicester?
Favourite victory over Leicester?
See, exactly.
It was a 2-1 win.
Oh, okay.
That's my
2-1
point.
win over Wolves. I scored a volley. They're different.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yes.
But you remember them.
You remember the derbies.
100%.
Yeah. OK, so that's defence. So Vardiol moving on into centre-back. How do you feel like he's done since the last couple of games where he stepped across?
I think he's been very consistent this season. I know early in the season he was scoring goals and stuff, but long term, I think he's a centre-half. I think he's been able to develop and get to grips with the pace of the Premier League at full-back and cause a lot of problems, not just be out there for makeshift purposes. He's done really well, but long term, I want to see him play centre-half and perform, because, as I said, the balance at the back, when you've got someone naturally left-footed, I know we've got Nathan, but unfortunately he's injured. So for me, he's as comfortable as anyone in possession, and obviously Pep thrives on possession for defenders.
So looking a bit forward, Jamo, into the midfield area, I'm surprised maybe that Jack isn't starting today, because I thought you did really well against Leicester.
Well, yes, and without contradicting myself, Nico's done really well and deserves his start. You would have thought that Jack, having scored against Leicester, would have warranted perhaps a start. But at the same time, Jack's a bit like Kevin, isn't he? He hasn't been starting the games, albeit Kevin is starting today. I just think it's that consistent balance which perhaps Pep is looking for in this game, rather than the one-off performance, which, top goal, very nice finish, but because he hasn't been starting games regularly.
And obviously he played in a more midfield role here, which again I think probably Jack's longer term. I know he's been here a long time and he's relatively not a young pro, but I think moving forward he's going to be exposed as a midfielder more so than a winger.
Oh, you like him in that number?
I do, yeah, I do.
10s?
I think, definitely. I think he's able to contribute, and as I said, he's able to control the tempo a lot more and frustrate the opposition, which is equally as important as just getting goals and assists, especially in Pep's team.
But I think it'll come on. I mean, the thing with the starting lineup, as I say, the first thing that jumped out at me was the lack of wingers, which seemed more midfield heavy than wide heavy.
But maybe because like United don't want possession, do they? They want to play on a counter-attack, so we'll probably have a lot more possession. And then if they've got 5, then you want probably come inside a little bit more. So it means Phil and Bernardo and can operate overload inside, and then Nico especially. And then it's like they get forward a lot, so we'll probably operate as wing backs and go man for man in the wing back areas, and only need 2 centre halves rather than their 3.
Yeah, talking about Phil there, of course, and what you said before about players knowing, is another guy that knows, blue through and through his whole life. He knows exactly what a derby's all about. Loves a derby. Scored 6 goals in his last 5 Premier League appearances against United. He's going to love it today.
Yeah, that's underrated. I didn't know it was that
Well,
much.
to be fair, he did get a hat-trick in one of them, but
It doesn't matter. I like, what is it, Wayne got the highest? Wayne Rooney's 12 or so, I think
Really?
so. I think Sergio or Wayne. But they're like, so there's an opportunity for him to become, especially as a local lad, everybody wants that, don't they? So, yeah, Phil. Again, probably not as consistent as he would have liked, but still able to produce moments of world class.
When you look at the midfield lineup in terms of Savio and Doku both been on the bench, JMO, and you've got Kovacic and Gundo, do you think Pep has set up here to try and more control, with it being away from home at Old Trafford?
Yes, in short. When you sat here and putting teams together, it's kind of like, do you think that's the best method against United, or do you try and go for them? United don't score many first half goals under Amorim. I think it's only on 8 occasions since Amorim's been there, 28 games. They score first half goals. So in a way, they're a team that you kind of have control in that first half, and it's all about second half play. Perhaps again, I can only assume that there's that first half consolidation, and then you allow the likes of Doku and Savio come on second half and dominate. And I think when we look at the return fixture here at the Etihad, City leading 1-0 half time, and then there was 2 very late goals annoyingly, and it was that kind of loss of control in the second half, whereas this seems like it's going to be reversed perhaps.
We'll give you the Manchester United team news shortly, but it will be Ugarte and Casemiro in the middle there. How do you see this battle going, Joleon?
Hopefully it's on top, but who's to say? But Bruno will be operating around there as well, won't he? And so I'm sure that's the threat. And the more rotation, the more movement for Casemiro, the harder it's going to get for him. So hopefully that's the thinking behind playing them 3 midfield, and then potentially asking Bernardo and Phil to come inside. So yeah, Pep obviously knows what he's doing. His plan is many a time he's seen a game before it's happened, and then asks the players to go and execute. So hopefully that's the case.
In terms of up front, obviously we know that Erling Haaland picked up that injury, which is a big miss because that man loves the derby. 9 goal involvements in his last 5 games against United. Feels like he's a big miss today, David.
Well, of course, because he 21
Haaland,
goals.
yeah, Haaland.
But in Marmoush, I think we've got something that could be very special.
Okay.
I know we're going to see bits here. He is a guy who, interesting, I mentioned this before we went on air, Erling Haaland's had 99 shots in the Premier League this season. Marmoush in domestic leagues this season has had 98. The guy shoots from anywhere, can score from anywhere. Free kicks, as we've seen, he can be sensational. And there's a bit where United won't know how to handle him because they haven't played against him. Whereas Erling, people have played against him enough times, you can keep Erling quiet theoretically and hope that no one else does anything. This guy is going to be his first derby, and I think he's going to be licking his lips at the idea that he could do something special today. I like it. I mean, I like him. He could be my new favourite Egyptian.
Okay. Wow. Competition there. Right. He hasn't scored away from home yet, randomly, since. So this could be his day.
Hopefully
Yeah.
it's his day. I don't think he'll be thinking about that. I don't think that I wasn't aware of that. And players score goals, and they use very good at using confidence to use for momentum and disregard the stats that are irrelevant. So the fact that he scored last game, he'll be using that. He won't be thinking, well, I haven't scored away from home. So yeah, like JMO said, he offers a different threat for Erling. Erling's a miss. Let's not be around the bush. He's a miss. But in terms of the variety of styles that he plays with, the movement, there'll probably be a more general level of concentration needed from the centre halves for Man United. Like, they'll have to concentrate in and around the halfway line, where Erling's probably just, when we get to the box, now concentrate, where you probably have to focus a little bit more on him, because he's willing to run and link up play and rotate his game.
Well, the thing is, you can shoot. Erling won't shoot from anywhere.
Yeah.
Very rarely shoots from outside the box, whereas Marmoush will shoot or can shoot from anywhere. And I think that will add another dynamic. And without Erling there as well, it kind of means he's going to get on the ball, I think, a lot more. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he does today.
Yeah, and I think I'm always trying to look for a positive, in life, always. So if a positive of Erling, I mean, it's hard to say. There's no positives for Erling being
injured. It doesn't need to be a
But
positive, it's just an alternative.
An alternative. Well, it gives Marmoush an opportunity to have a good run of games.
100%.
So we'll get to see what he can do.
Yeah, and players sometimes need that to know, I'm going to play.
Yeah.
Like, having to compete with Erling, it's like, I could score a hat-trick and I'm still out. Like, if he would have scored a hat-trick against Leicester and Erling's fit, he's playing. So that could have then affected his confidence and his belief about where he stands in the squad. But knowing you're going to play 4 or 5 games, and some of them are really important in regards to like the semi-finals and stuff. So, yeah, that helps players, especially when, as I said, you're new and you're trying to find rhythm and you're playing in a relatively new position.
Yeah, and I like the idea, Jeremy, you said he takes shots from everywhere. I like the idea of him testing Onana. Let's put him on his toes.
Yeah, interesting goalkeeper in Onana. I think there's as much chance of keeping a clean sheet as he has of conceding 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I mean, there's a consistency in the inconsistency, shall I say. Long-range shots seems to have a bit of a problem with.
Would you say that's his worst part of his game?
Well, letting the ball in the back of the net.
No, from long range. From long range.
Yeah, I've been looking at the goals he concedes, and or even his saves, and there seems to be an uncomfortableness about long-range shooting, whether it's bodies in front of him or timing or what he does in training, I'm not sure. But I think if I'm Marmoush and you get the access now, give me every shot that he's had this season, find a bit of a weakness and try and exploit it.
Oh, OK, so you expect to see that then? Lots of long-range shots?
Absolutely.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the other thing is then, people then have to close you down because they don't want you shooting, which opens up space. And while we were talking about it, I'm thinking maybe that's one of the reasons why we got more midfielders than widemen, because all of a sudden then you're going to create those opportunities to make runs and movement. KDB buzzing because he's captain will be finding, could be on the assists again today.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good chance of him getting an assist.
Good
chance, yeah.
I've got a Kevin De Bruyne derby stat for you. You'll like this one in particular, David. Loves the stat, me too. Having scored just 1 goal, no assists in his first 10 Premier League appearances against United, he's now had a hand in 6 in the last 5. 2 goals, 4 assists.
Oh, I wonder who the 4 assists were for. Erling Haaland.
Probably Erling and Phil, yeah.
Yeah. Double hat-trick day.
Oh, I'd love one of them again. I'll have a single hat-trick day, to be fair.
Yeah, take it 1-0.
I know, I'm all confident now. Give me half an hour. Be crying in my chair. Thank you very much. So we've sent FG and Michael Brown on the short trip across the city to Old Trafford. Let's go over to them now.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to Old Trafford. As always, I am joined pitchside by the man himself, Michael Brown. Brownie, derby day in the city of Manchester. We're here again. We're on our travels from Manchester to Salford today, and we've just seen the Manchester City team. Where better to start than another start for an academy graduate? 3 in a row. Nico O'Reilly starts at left back today. What an opportunity it is for him.
Do you know what? I love derby day. I was just walking in, getting that feeling. I've been waiting for it. Last time they had us here, there and everywhere, didn't we? And we were going into a pub, we were doing this, we were doing that. Today we're ready for business. The fans are just filtering in, the team news, Nico O'Reilly, that is the one that stands out for a young player. He's done so well, hasn't he, since he came on against Bournemouth and in the week. And now it's going to be different for him. He's looking, thinking, how quick can things change? As an academy player, it sends messages right down. Always be ready, your opportunity could come really, really quickly, and to play here in such a big game, it's a really, really top moment for him. It's going to be different because of what he's going to be up against. We know that they're going to push him the other way, so he's got to find an all-round game. And then you're going to ask me about Kevin De Bruyne. I bet you are. Come on.
I am going to ask you about Kevin De Bruyne,
on,
of course. But before doing so, you can see where we stood, by the way. We are pitch side right now. That will be our away end, which will be a sea of sky blue. And hopefully we'll have some scenes like we did at Bournemouth last time out here at full time. Let's focus on the back four still. Sticking with the back four. Mateus Nunes at right back. Now, the last derby we did, it was an unfortunate moment in, I think, a performance where he actually did well until, that rush of blood to give away the penalty. It's an opportunity for him to put things right, so to speak, against your local rivals. Does it play on your mind like that as a player when you've made a mistake in the previous fixture?
Do you know, for me now, I don't think he has to put anything right. I think what we've seen is him mature, grow into that position, which from a midfield player to go and do that, that's so tough. Yes, he got caught out in the last derby, but I feel like he's more calm now, he's more composed, he'll be getting to good positions, and I don't think he's got too much to prove other than, can he play in the next game? Can he convince Pep Guardiola that he's here to stay for the remainder of the season? He'll be looking forward to it. These are the type of games he signed for the club. It's a big test for him, but in the middle, I think you look, you've got Ruben Diaz. He's the mainstay, and he's the one who's going to organise, he's going to talk, and he's going to really try to organise everything around the situation, and he will be aggressive as well.
Yeah, but also Josko Vardiol right next to Nico O'Reilly as well, and Josko obviously knows that position that Nico's in really well. Now, where better for us to move on, to our captain
Here
today.
Here it goes, drum roll.
An absolute legend, the greatest ever. Kevin De Bruyne has announced he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season, which means this is his last Manchester derby, because Manchester United aren't in the FA Cup. We can't play them again. Listen, words don't do this man justice, Brownie. But as an ex-professional yourself, when you watch someone like Kevin De Bruyne, the feeling he gives fans is something, but as someone who knows the game better, what's it been like watching him in a City shirt?
Do you know what's going to be hard for me is who else am I going to pick as my favourite? Because I'm that biased when it comes to Kevin De Bruyne that I'm literally always saying, and he does it again. Here he is, KDB, what he's got, the joy of watching him play, this all-round game, those supply line passes that he has when he cuts in off that right foot, left foot finishes. He's got everything, hasn't he? And I think as well is his character, the way he's conducted himself right throughout his Premier League career at Manchester City, the trophies he's lifted. So it's a really, really sad moment. And let's hope, obviously, today has a wonderful game. And I hope he does something special. As usual, the last few weeks are going to be so important for him. And it's a nice feature. I'm glad he's playing. It's come so quickly. And now it's for him an opportunity to end on a really, really high with a trophy, with a Champions League finish, and who could ever doubt him?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure watching Kevin De Bruyne, and hopefully we can enjoy his final moments in Sky Blue starting here at Old Trafford. Speaking of Old Trafford, the home team, we've just got the team news, so we'll reveal that to you here on Matchday Live. In goal is, as always, it's Onana, and then it's a start for Yoro and Harry Maguire, and then it's Mazraoui, Dalot, Ugarte, Casemiro, Dorgu, Garnacho, Fernandes and Rasmus Højlund. Looking at that team, first things first, we spoke about Nico O'Reilly a little bit. He's going to be going up against Garnacho, we presume. That's a test in itself, isn't it?
See, I've just given you that, right? And now you're asking me about it. But, he plays this inverted wide players. And that's been obviously criticised for some time regarding that shape and setup, and have you got the right players to do it? I think Bruno Fernandes is an incredible player, that he has the flexibility. He's been the mainstay. He's held this team together for all the poor results and lack of form for some time. I really like him. I think he's led by example. Really, really talented player. But Garnacho, he's got that something special, that little bit of pace, and you do expect him to push it over the back corner, turn Nico O'Reilly around, and he'll be ready for it. Don't have to go too far. What's important, Josko Vardiol gets that cover on. But they've gone with a little bit of experience, haven't they? Maguire back, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Ugarte has got to really try and control that middle of the pitch. We've seen, obviously, Højlund, in the last derby getting a little bit carried away. So let's see how he gets on. He's struggled ever since.
Let's talk about Ruben Amorim as well, because people have been speaking a lot about his two performances as a manager against Pep. Of course, the first one was Sporting, which was earlier on in the season, and then there was the one at the Etihad. But when you go back to that derby at the Etihad, Brownie, was that almost the perfect derby performance at the Etihad Stadium, apart from a few minutes of madness at the end?
I think we were well in control. I think we have to understand that, and then it was a mistake, and it went really, really quickly, just flipped on its head. in a minute or two, and that was the difference. So it wasn't about how good Manchester United were or the setup or the organisation. They were in the game because we weren't out of sight. But there's been a couple of games like that where Manchester United have got certain points, or it would have been a lot worse. Let's not forget the form here has been absolutely dreadful, and that's why City have got to really control the ball, put them on the back foot, and I think it's important, if we can, is to keep the tempo up. It's an interesting one. Anything can happen in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything can happen. I mean, I tell you what, one thing's for certain on Derby Day. The other presenter in the studio, Natalie, is going to be a nervous wreck on Derby Day.
As normal. Derby Day, she doesn't cope too well, does she? That's it. But she's had a birthday this week.
Well, yeah, happy birthday, Nat, actually, as well. I mean, hopefully...
Was it a special birthday?
I don't know how...
Oh, I don't want to say.
We're going to head back to the studio with our best wishes.
She's
to
been
you,
socialising all
always.
week at the horse racing as well. We know that.
Yeah.
So she might be a little bit tired for the day.
Yeah, hopefully not too nervous, Nat, and hopefully we'll be celebrating at the end of the game. But let's go back to the studio where all the other guests are going to sing you happy birthday.
Thank you, FG. Thank you, Mega Man. It's a good point to stop there. I am a proud 42, by the way, FG. I am good with it. It is a gift. Age is a gift. Neither FG or Michael Brown messaged me, by the way. Just
Wow.
but they're right.
Every birthday's special.
It is, exactly, David. Yeah. It is. And they're right. I am really nervous. And I'm always nervous on Derby Day. So they're absolutely bang on and try not to currently think about it. But we've had the Manchester United team news there, which means this is the section where we get to talk about the away team. So let's just have a good 10 minutes laughing, shall we? So Manchester United currently sitting 14th in the Premier League table because Spurs are beating Southampton. 14th. 1-4. Should we just smile?
I think it's going to be a painful 10 minutes if we just sit here just smiling, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to think, this is a derby, man. This ain't...
Give me my 10 minutes, Joleon.
This ain't 14th against 5th. This is like, yeah, can't. Because there's been times, Nat, we were 14th and we went into the game believing we could win. So you can't just eradicate.
And they would have had more than 10 minutes laughing at us.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
The guys made a valid point there when you think of the 2 times that Amarin's faced Pep this season and in games that we assumed Manchester City were going to win. So they might be 14th at the moment, but this is a big game. So you have to be on it, otherwise they will be laughing.
The only plus I think is there's not many managers that have beat Pep 3 times in a season. Can't be many.
No.
So let's hope that's a good omen for us.
Yeah. Should we do some serious punditry then about why they've been so bad?
Oh.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
OK. Joleon, why have Manchester United been so bad?
A combination of a lot of things. I don't think his players are capable of playing the way he wants to play, and that frustrates me a lot when, not just Amarin and United, like coaches want to play a style, like adamant, this is the style I want to play, but if your players aren't comfortable doing that, then find a solution that stops the bleeding, basically, because as it erodes and it gets worse, like, you're not helping anyone. You're making it bigger. Even if you want to look on the bigger scale, the fees of the players you want to get them become even higher because now you need them even more. So there's an element of just recognising, well, what are we trying to do? Okay, this is how we're going to do it, how we're going to go about it. We're not just going to play how I want to play and just hope the players do it, because they've proven over the 28 games they haven't been able to do it as often as he would have liked. So, and all the players that are leaving, I've seemed to do okay. There's not many that have gone there and struggled. So there's got to be some element of what is being asked.
But everybody knew how he played. Like, his style of play was very well known, very well publicised before they signed him. Then he's gone there, and right from the outset, JMO, he's been very adamant. This is the style of play that I play, and I'm going to make the players fit into this style of play, as opposed to creating a style based on the players that he had available to it. So it's got to be a long-term thing. Then they're going to have to give him time to have the transfer windows and build.
This is where I disagree to a point with Joleon. I think that there is a long-term plan here. There is an allowance.
Got 2 years.
In management of the Premier League, 2 years is a long time. The point being is, there's an allowance for things not to be good, i.e. 14th at the moment. And if he changes it just to make it look okay, then the argument about having to make replacements becomes more difficult because you're making things look okay. It's like, this is what we're going to do. Whatever falls off the ideal, we'll get rid of.
Okay isn't, like, there's never a time where okay is okay for United.
No, I get, yeah.
So being okay may mean you get players for a cheaper value, but it's not.
So, and this is what I believe is going to happen. Whether it transpires is a completely different thing. We're going to play my style, and I haven't got the players to make it look good. But I'm not going to change the style because I need the players to make it work. So therefore, the players don't adapt. They go by the wayside at the end of the season. He gets to get the players in the style that he likes. Then it is you need to now have success, otherwise you're out the door. So it's a dangerous game they're playing. I think there's been a lot of deflection with talks of new stadia and all this stuff, just to try and get people off the scent that the team's not playing well. I actually like the way that he speaks as a manager. I think he's very clear, very honest. And if I was in that changing room, I'd give it for every manager, but there'd be a point where you're going, I know I'm giving it to the right guy here.
Yeah.
I've always felt they've had decent enough teams, and the frustrating thing is that when they beat City here at the Etihad, you're going, well, they're good enough to beat City at the Etihad. Forget, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of caveats to that, but the point being is the team were able to raise themselves in certain games, and you're thinking, well, there's something in the mentality of the players perhaps which is not quite right, and I've been in those changes where people have accused us of that, but you can actually see it in some of their performances. Even if it's 0-0s, like you're saying, in games where you think they're going to get beat, they do enough to not get beat, and you're thinking something's not quite ticking here. So they're bad because I think they've got, or not in the position that they should have been in or expected to be in, because they've got a manager who's allowed to do what he wants to do at the moment.
Which is what they should.
Which they should have done.
The manager should be allowed to do what he wants to do, but what he's doing isn't the right thing for the players. Like, I'm not saying they should say, like, you can't do what you want, but what you're doing, I'm saying he should be able to recognise and be like, this ain't working. Like, it really ain't working.
But it depends what he's been brought in. And this is the thing. If anything, it's almost like United are allowing the manager to sacrifice the players in order for a greater goal.
Again,
or a bigger
it's
goal.
not. Which I agree, but from the club's perspective, then them players become more expensive, and them players become cheaper because now you can't do it. So I'm not going to pay you.
Oh, and they've got to save money to put that big tent over half of Manchester.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's too many negatives to what they're doing in order for me to say, well, yeah, just give him time. I'm like, I need to see a more consistent basis. I'm not saying second, by the way, but I just changed the style.
I want them to. The thing is, I actually want, and I've got to watch how I say it, I want United to be good.
Careful.
No, to be good, not the best. I want them to be good.
Careful.
It feels better when you beat a good team.
No.
Yeah, of course.
No, I want Man United to get relegated. I don't care.
Nah.
Yes.
You lose a Manchester derby then?
I don't care. I have a season of laughter.
I thought about relegated. They're great good at the City. That we don't want them to get relegated. But
why?
We don't want them to win anything. Because then they get carried away with winning the championship. Celebrating that, having parades for winning the championship.
Although I'm good with them doing that.
Yeah.
They can do that all they want. Honestly, the fans over here is like, no, they could collapse. And you had seen this stat somewhere where you mentioned about managers beating him Pep 3 times. Amorim could become only the third manager ever to do 3 consecutive wins against Pep.
Tuchel won.
Tuchel, and there's one other.
Ancelotti, you gotta say.
No.
What? When he was managing City?
Yeah.
3 in a row.
Conte.
Quite obvious.
Conte.
Is it? That's not Klopp.
Klopp.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they never won 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Klopp. That was. Oh, it doesn't have the date. Yeah. Klopp's beat twice. Yeah. Oh wait, hold on.
Twice. He's done it 3 times.
Hold on, let me reread my stat.
Here we go.
Ruben Amorim could become just the third manager to beat Pep Guardiola in 3 consecutive meetings after Jurgen Klopp. Did it with Liverpool twice. So he's beat us 3 times in a row twice.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Don't doubt my stats.
Just read them right then.
So let's have a look at in terms of the Manchester United starting 11, 2 changes from the team that was beaten by Forest in the week. Harry Maguire starts. We're presuming not up front?
No, I don't think...
I think he starts up there. He might venture up there.
Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying. I mean, there's certain players he puts in the side where it's kind of like, I'm just going to kill this game off because I don't want anyone to win. And I know...
Oh, wow.
No, weird. I mean, I've seen it at Anfield where it's just like a 0-0. And it's kind of like, we're not. Was it Anfield? Yeah, we're just going to kill the game rather than try and win it.
Yeah, but that's Anfield. You're allowed to kill the game at Anfield. They can't be trying to kill the game at Old Trafford, having beat us in the Etihad game.
Yeah,
like, the fans and there's like they need to take it serious, man. They're, like you said, the 14th. This ain't all right. Like you can't just be 14th and just be okay with it. Miles off it.
They're not going to go down. I think mathematically they're safe now.
No, they're not mathematically, but they're not going to go down. It's worse.
Can they still go
37,
down?
37.
And Nat's birthday wish was that United went down.
I think they're on 37 points, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 17 points clear of Ipswich with 8 games left at 8, 16, 24. So they still mathematically could go down, but it's joyful, that, isn't it? It's joyful.
Let that go.
It's joyful. OK, so let's presume that Harry Maguire is in defence. They do hemorrhage goals, though, at Old Trafford under Amorim. 17 goals in the last 9 games at Old Trafford they've hemorrhaged. So, again, it goes back to this style of play. It's not working for them. But, I mean, how can they... Because at Old Trafford, you can't imagine that happening.
Yeah, well, you can, because they're not the Man United of what we remember, what we probably competed against. Like, we were talking before about the young lad that's gone there from Arsenal and saying, oh, it's a snip, he's gone to United for $1 million. I'm like, but he hasn't gone to United. He's gone to a team that's 14th in the league. So you have to consider that. He's not playing for United that's challenging. So we have to consider them things. But for me, going back to the manager and the coach, like, what is his style trying to do? Is he trying to outscore teams? Because we've seen that happen and that work, but or is he trying to be combative and defend and be a low block? And like, there's no evidence of either. Like, he's not losing games 4-3 or winning 1-0. He's just losing, and there's no.
They're winning and losing. I mean, the interesting thing, as I said in the first half, is 8 games out. He's been there 28 games now, and only 8 games has he scored in the first half. It's just
they're just not scoring a lot in general, are they?
But if you're not scoring the first half regularly, then you're almost saying we are a second half team, and that's the point. It's kind of like you're actually making it a 45-minute game. I think personnel-wise, the dependency on Bruno Fernandes is. Knowing some Manchester United supporters is very similar to what I heard with Ronaldo. When Ronaldo was there scoring 18 goals in a season, it was like, oh, where would we be without Ronaldo? And I'm thinking, well, the guy scored 15 at home and 3 away. Don't play him away games. You might have a few more points and you'll be in a better position. You're using the hero as the reason for success or less failure, when in fact taking that person out, you might actually create a better balance.
100%. Yeah.
I think this is the Fernandes does magnificent things, magnificent free kicks, whatever it might be, but doesn't do enough. I think I was looking at his tackles. He's got the highest amount of tackles, roughly the highest amount of tackles in Manchester United midfield. But he's played twice as many games as anyone else. It's kind of like the guy...
Yeah, but you could flip it and say, well, the chances he's created are probably 4 times as much. So you could use that tackling stat, but he's creating way more opportunities than everyone.
But Joleon, you're in a team...
And that's what he's in the team to do. He's not in a team to tackle.
But again, this is interesting about the setup of the team. When you're looking at your star man, he's not going to win the ball back for you, but he'll create chances.
Yeah.
We're 14th. Are we creating chances and not scoring goals because goal scoring is a problem, or do we need to start winning the ball back?
Sounds like you're making my point.
We wouldn't be losing.
Tactics to suit the players that you want.
Which is leaning on what you're saying. I'm saying, well, we're going to show it's fair. Anyway. Yes.
The goal scoring has been a problem, though. Just looking at the table, they've only scored 37 goals.
You got to stop smiling when you say this. You got to like.
It's joyful.
Fernandes is a top goal.
But the game hasn't kicked off yet.
I don't care. Do you know what? This can come back to bite me if something happens today. But even if we get beat, they're still 14th in the league.
Yeah.
Like, will they be you didn't have my childhood.
Will they be if they win though? Will they not be?
It might be 13th.
They might be 13th maximum. You didn't have my childhood. You didn't grow up as one of only 4 City fans in a school full of United fans when they were winning the treble.
Yeah.
And you didn't grow up with the banner. So I am allowed this. We are allowed this. We're allowed it. In terms of the goal scoring, though, Bruno Fernandes is their top goal scorer. 8 goals.
8 goals, yeah.
Of course, Joleon starts today. 25 games he's played this season. 3 goals. So goal scoring is a problem for them. Despite that fact of what you're saying about Bruno Fernandes, it still feels like he is the 100%. Main threat for them. Yeah,
he's the main creator of opportunities, and I said now it's finding the partnership that he wants to create in order to nullify that. Like, we've seen Kevin, and I'm not comparing it, but Kevin and Erling is like, you don't stop one or the other, you just have to stop the combination. But he hasn't obviously created that. There's a variety of runs being made. He's picking it up in different areas where, like, going back to the point of the consistency element. I don't recognise the type of goal they score. They score goals, but there's not one I'm thinking, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Like, even with us, we know how we concede. We've conceded a certain style of goal for years and a certain style of opportunity or chance, but you can recognise it. But with them, it's just like, well, they concede any type and they can score a few types of goals. So,
what I've noticed is a lot of deeper crossing for United under Amorim. But then again, it's kind of like, this is what I'm going to do, but I haven't necessarily got the personnel which is going to maximise that. Joleon, for his size, is not the most dominant. The physicality doesn't match his size, if that makes sense, or his use of his physical state.
The game is less than 40 minutes away now, so sadly we're going to have to stop talking about Manchester United. It's been joyful for the last 10 minutes, and we're going to hear now from our manager Pep Guardiola and the Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim.
When we play against them, we were not in our best. It was the way we lost was so disappointing in the last minutes when the game almost over. But it's football. No, I'm not a type of person or manager to think about. Because you have to think, we are able to win 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row and win the titles. I will not be scared to work again and again and again. It's happened. Football is happening this season. Unfortunately, it happened a little bit more than the past.
They had that run in that moment, but they improved. They can play in different ways. It's really hard to understand how and to think how they are going to face us. So they have maybe the best coach in the world. So they have top players. So it will be a difficult match. But like I said, I'm so focused on improving my team that I'm not worried about the improvements of Manchester City. Just try to understand how Manchester City is going to play to help my players to be on top of their game.
Yes, thank you very much. As you can see, me and Brownie have been joined by a very, very special guest pitchside with us, Mr. John Murray, joining us again. Welcome back to Matchday Live. Welcome to the Old Trafford, the Theatre of Dreams for the Manchester Derby. You know so much about this fixture, of course. Your voice is iconic throughout it. What do you make of it as a spectacle?
Well, what I do know is that normally if I come here for this match, or indeed to the Etihad, at this time of the year, when the weather's like this, either one or the other is probably having some sort of impact on the title race, and clearly that's not the case this year, but I think there's still plenty in it to hold the interest.
Any particular memories from Manchester derbies in the past that you recall? You've got so many and you remember everything. I work with you a lot and you know.
You say that, Brownie.
So much.
Yeah, listen, I mean, just the sort of the favourite memories will be the very obvious ones, like Wayne Rooney, Michael Owen's goal. I mean, the 6-3 was incredible. That amazing game here with Balotelli. Those are just some of them that come back. I mean, that was an extraordinary day when Manchester City romped it here. That was one of the early ones, wasn't it, where you thought, this is it, this is a changing of the order going on. So yeah, loads of memories.
It's one of those today as well, isn't it? Like you say, what's riding on it, but it's still the pride, isn't it, for the supporters coming. It's the first one I've looked at for a long time, waiting for it to come. Derby Day is special. Yes, it's a shame it's not for a title or for something, but it's still, regarded from a City perspective, is obviously to get in the Champions League. But again, the main talking point today, what we'll be looking at, is obviously the story this week coming out that Kevin De Bruyne, it's going to be his last season. He captains the team today. What you're expecting and what your memories?
Yeah, interesting timing, isn't it? With everything else that's going on, that they announced that on the Friday before the match here, which will obviously be his last Manchester derby. And he's simply been, it's not an original thought this, but he's been one of my favourite players to watch over the course of the time that he's been at Manchester City, and I'd put him right up there. I always used to love commentating on Dennis Bergkamp. And I always think there are great similarities between the two. But I've just been looking along the touchline here. Brian Robson's just down the touchline. I think when people are talking about some of the great midfielders that have graced the game in the top flight in England, then I know he's a completely different sort of player to Kevin De Bruyne. But, Brian Robson's right in that mix. But for Kevin De Bruyne, we will miss him.
Yeah, we absolutely will miss him. I mean, especially as Manchester City fans, and there's been a lot of talk about a potential statue for him outside the Etihad Stadium. I mean, I think not many people would argue with that
It
one.
would cost a few quid if it was for John, wouldn't it? The statue. We might have the budget.
I think that at the rate Manchester City are building statues, probably in 10 years' time you won't be able to move for statues around the ground. But no, if there's one man, I think, that deserves one there, it's Kevin De Bruyne.
Where does he rank then, in your eyes, in terms of midfield players in world football?
Tricky questions as well, isn't it? Always from FG.
In world football, I think the fact that there's not an international title probably counts against him a little bit in terms of where you put him there, and then that's when he's been in such a good Belgian squad as well, and yet they've not been able to win anything on that level. But in terms of, I rather look at it as the player that he is, and that he's just so different in a great way, that's what sets him apart for me.
Do you know, for me, on the last one, do you know when you look for an iconic player and it's towards the end of the season or the moment he checks out, like your end line? Do you know, that's something is obviously what we all look at. You commentators have something special about these players. How long does it take you to produce one of those?
How long? What the best ones are, Michael, is where it comes off the top of your head. That's what I'd say with that. So
he's always planning. I'm not sure about
that's
that.
when it works best.
I mean, Mr. Brownie, we've had the pleasure of listening to him on co-coms throughout the whole season, and you're doing amazing work yourself in the broadcast space. In terms of co-commentators, where does Brownie rank for you?
Oh, wow.
Well, if there was an award for the naughtiest commentator, then
Is it Leon Osman who's waiting by as well? Or just
it's
for you?
Brownie's at the top of that tree.
Well, listen, absolute pleasure for you to speak to us. And remember, you can listen to Brownie as well on co-coms for the rest of the season on Man City, especially in the away games. But thank you for your great insight. John Murray, let's head back to the studio.
Thank you, FG. Thank you, John Murray. And thank you to the naughtiest co-commentator, Michael Brown. There's Kevin De Bruyne leading out City into Old Trafford for his last ever Manchester derby, looking fresh as our Kev. Oh, he'll enjoy them boos. Be liking them boos that he's hearing coming round. So that's the players. They're coming out. We've got about half an hour now until the 4:30 p.m. kickoff today, UK time. You'll get full match commentary on the City app with Atlas Deman and with Michael Brown as well. Oh, I can't wait to see Kev today, Joleon. I think it's going to be a special day for him.
Yeah, I think he's probably known the decision for a while. And sometimes when you release the information, it just allows you to play a bit more carefree. He's obviously a high-level performer, but now it's for him to decide. I don't know if he's aware of where he's going or if he's made that decision yet, but just being able to stay, and he deserves to enjoy the running and be like, and in a way it might be better for him that it's less pressure in regards to titles and Champions Leagues, because then it's the focus is on the team and stuff, where he can deservedly get a focus of all the games.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice for him to go out with the FA Cup.
Oh, 100%. Lift the trophy
Yeah.
As you leave. 100%. All the players. You got, like, we talk about his consistency and like it's easy to recognise, but just to be there for 10 years is like a massive achievement. Like, that's not, you can't take that for granted. So that element of it is huge as well.
Trophy hauls in the 10 seasons that he's had with us. 6 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups so far, 5 League Cups and the Champions League. Yeah. And I didn't count the Community Shields, I didn't have time.
Oh, wow.
There's probably a few.
I like the fact that when players leave now, they do the picture with all the trophies.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a big picture for Kev.
Yeah, so there's a few of them, got big pictures. Kyle, if he doesn't come back as well, it's a big picture, but I love that picture. Something that I would take pride in placing in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
I liked the way that he's worded his announcement on social media, because quite often you get this, I wouldn't say it's just a sort of cut and paste, but it seemed very hard. Huh?
AI.
Do you think he AI? No, it was
Write
just,
me an emotional goodbye.
it was very different to other ones I've seen, and I think it's just a true judgment of how much this club meant or means to him.
Yeah.
Which was,
All right.
Yeah, just to make you...
Pause on Kevin, I'm not ready yet. I need a couple more minutes to to get the strength together to talk about this. So let's talk about Derby debut goals, because there has been a few players' memorable Derby Day goals as well that we've had. And today, they could be, of course, Marmoush could get a Derby Day debut goal. Say that fast.
Derby debut goal.
Derby Day debut goal.
A Derby Day debut goal. No,
Yep.
I don't know if I said it right. Benjani was one, I remember.
Yes, you do.
Because I went to that game. I wasn't even obviously at the club. I went to the game. It was Father's Day. I
Really?
took my dad to the game, yeah. So we went to watch, and Benjani.
You know his song?
I know.
He came from Zimbabwe to score on Derby Day.
Oh well, that was after. I wouldn't know that because I didn't go to many games after that game. But it was the tribute year as well, because there was no sponsors on the shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Is this it here?
Oh, that was it. Do you know
This
what?
is
I
the
didn't
Benjani
realise it was a tribute year because.
I think it might have been. I don't know. It might be.
Yeah,
wrong.
because United have got their classic kit on. I was looking at the goalie thinking, why have you got white shorts and black socks?
Yeah.
Is it Van der Sar was in goal then?
Stevie Island with hair.
Is it Van der Sar?
There.
Yeah, Van der Sar.
So this was his actual Manchester City debut as well.
Yeah.
His debut was on Derby Day.
Yeah, I remember. I was just sitting behind that goal.
Yeah, I was there as well. I was there as a fan. Go on, Benjani.
I went on the City website and went through all the Derby goals from, I don't know, it must be the last 10
Yeah,
years.
of course you did.
Rio appears in loads,
Yeah.
getting rinsed.
Yeah. There's a picture of me dunking on him in the Charity Shield.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, we lost the game though. Not that enjoyable.
Okay, so let's go back to 2009-2010 because there was a couple of Derby Day debut goals there. Gareth Barry and Craig Bellamy both scored. It was a 4-3 game. I remember it. I was there. I was heartbroken. It was your first Manchester derby.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then Michael Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gary Neville, who was on the bench,
Neeks.
ran all the way down the line in front of the City fans where I was standing and goaded us.
This is
What a pass that is.
Bellamy smash into the top corner. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Bellis gets two, no? I think he's got... Carlos, what a player. It's a good pass, that GB.
Yes. So that was his derby debut goal.
This was a great goal.
Right, here's Bellamy.
Yeah, this was a great goal.
Oh, I mean, Joleon, that's a pretty decent goal for a derby. I mean,
Any
full stop,
game,
but for a derby.
Any game, but yeah, to do that, yeah, I think Marcus is manager here now, so we at this point we know our players are as good as theirs. We're just not as good a team yet because it was still relatively new assembling them. But yeah,
Is that what you were there, JMO?
Oh, no, I'd have to have a word. You're a defender, block it.
Goalkeeper save it.
But if you block it, the goalie doesn't have to save it.
If we save it, doesn't have to block it.
Is there one more?
We've got other clips in a second, but hold on.
Yeah, that's not-
That was your first derby. What was it like?
It was good, yeah. I was calm. I'd played in derbies, obviously prior, and I'm always the same. Like, I can't... People say, what's the biggest derby? Like, you can't compare them because they'd be like disrespecting other fans and saying, this derby means more to you than Everton, Liverpool does to their fans, and Wolves, West Brom. It doesn't mean more, it means the same. So, in terms of the game, the one at the Etihad when Vinny scores, that's the biggest game because it was just total deciding. But in terms of the derby, they're all massive.
Did you know? I mean, it's a daft question because obviously you're a professional footballer, you know. But do you know what it means to the fans? Like, before you go into a Manchester derby, you know?
Yeah, because, again, I'll refer it to a derby, not just a Manchester derby, but we were football fans before. So we've been fans of teams and we know what a derby feels like to us. So in regards to knowing what it means to you for the fans, like 100%, and you're aware that you could instantly become a hero. Like, Benjani's a hero. I don't think many fans could tell you 5 other goals.
I'm not sure he scored 5 of them.
But maybe not, but they remember that. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a really interesting question because for someone like Benjani to make your debut in a derby, your literal debut on a derby day, he might not understand the full context of what Manchester's about. If you've been there for a little while, I mean, my first derby was, I think, my 3rd or 4th game. Yeah. So I hadn't really got to grips with the Manchester version of a derby, but I knew it was massive and it was important that we beat them. But fortunately, having played in England for so many years prior to that, you kind of knew who the good eggs and the bad eggs were.
We just saw him as well, Tevez there. Obviously, going back to Old Trafford that day. What do you remember of that, like, of Tevez going back?
I don't know. I know there was a lot of noise, but Carlos wasn't fazed by anything. Like, I don't know if he was aware of the spotlight on him, but he just didn't care. Like, literally did not care. He just wanted to perform, and that typical sums him up. That closing down the goalie when it's not on. Probably, like, there's probably not many players in today's team that win that. Probably don't even get there because they're thinking, nah, he's going to get it. And Carlos, no. It's never over. It was never over. So, yeah, what a player. And I remember, like, before Sergio, Carlos carried us on his back for a while, like, for the FA Cup runs and to get into the Champions League. Like, Carlos was doing a lot of stuff on his own. So, yeah, massive fan.
Yeah, we all were. We all were. We forgave him. Right, okay, let's jump to 2016. Iniacho, 2016, he scored and he also set up Kevin De Bruyne for his first Manchester derby goal as well.
What year?
2016.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a little look at this. Oh my goodness, so this was also a game where Zlatan scored his first derby goal. Obviously on the other side, it was Pep versus Mourinho. Oh, look. It looks so young. Is that a young Kev as well for the assist?
That's not an assist.
I'm giving him as an assist.
Does that count as an assist? It
no,
can't
I don't think
do.
it does it? No.
Yeah, but Kev's capable of bouncing them off the post.
With his left foot, he is, yeah. If anyone could do it, he could do it.
So, love that. OK, next one. Let's have a look. And probably the best ever Manchester derby debut has to go to Erling Haaland because he got a hat-trick. A hat-trick in his Manchester derby debut. I've got to stop saying that. And 2 assists as well.
That finish was ridiculous.
I think the finish is harder.
Yeah, but it's just the idea that you can put that... I remember talking about this at the time. It's kind of like, I'll put it in there and you get on the end of it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Telepathic, them two. They just know. But that finish, yeah, that's harder than the ball for me.
What makes it so hard?
That he's sliding and he has to time drawing back his foot to...
Everything.
To keep it down. Oh, wow. Way harder than that looks.
But to be fair to Erling, he's probably scored harder goals than that since.
Yeah, there's been a couple of Champions League overhead
overhead
kicks and flying back heels.
He must have been doing that in training for Kev to go, I'm just going to put it in there, you'll get on the end of it, don't worry about it. But what a ball.
I don't know if you can ever have a better derby debut than Erling Haaland. Like, Marmoush is going to have to do a lot to ever beat that.
Yeah, it won't be better than that. Even if he does it, because if he does it again, it's the same. It's like the second time, so it's never great the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anfield got a derby. Anfield got a hat-trick as well, that game. So that derby was, special.
Derbies are always special. They are. OK, so you might remember on the show last week we had Oscar Bob on and he was doing some blind ranking, and I absolutely love a bit of blind ranking. So this week we asked Scott Carson to blind rank some saves.
He makes saves every day that most keepers make every 2-3 months. Going to be a hard one to beat. That's pretty much sums him up. He's obviously just had the first one straight in his face. Great save to stand up, and then he hasn't flinched. He's got straight up and then reacted for the second one. So brilliant 2 saves. I'm going to give that number 3. I'm going to go number 3 for that one. So quick, so sharp, and that's pretty much sums him up. Yeah, great save as well. He's managed to stay up and didn't gamble. Probably similar to what Eddie done the save before. He's stayed on his feet, and then that's made him have the time to throw his hand and make a reaction. I'm going to say 5 for that one. I know I'm probably doing it a bit of an injustice. It was his JMO, this one. He was an unbelievable athlete, and obviously the claw away, he's JMO, he was so athletic. I'm going to put this one number 4. I think number 4 because I think he'd have been disappointed that he never caught the first shot. Non JMO, he was always pretty hard on himself. He makes saves every day that most keepers make every 2-3 months. He was one of his own character. He'd come to the training pitch with everyone else would have water or the hydration ones to give you a bit of energy, and he'd come with half a litre of coffee, and he'd just be supping that while everyone else is having their energy drinks. Top serve. You can see the replay here again. Yeah, it's unbelievable serve. It's obviously a great ball that's come across that he couldn't come and get, and then sometimes you've just got to throw yourself at things, and he's obviously made the right decision and made a wonderful serve. So going to be a hard one to beat, but I'm going to take a gamble and put it in at number 2 and see what the last one brings. Great serve again, similar to what the first two were. He's stood up and he's not gambled, and he's made a great reaction with his foot. And sometimes them low balls down are the hardest ones. Sometimes they just sneak through or can sneak between your legs. But like I said, he's stood up and he's reacted. And I think, well, we've seen 3 out of the 5 saves have been made where the keeper's stood up and made a reaction. So Nicky Weaver, number 1.
Half a litre of coffee, David James. Is that true?
We won 4-1.
After you had half a litre
And I
of
had
coffee?
to make 2 saves there. Anyway.
You didn't make the second
So,
one.
do you know, I love Scotty. I know we only were together in the England squad, but what a talented young man he was, Scotty Carson.
Do you agree with his blind ranking there?
I think, unfortunately, he should have had a couple more coffees, then he would have appreciated my save more. Yeah.
Okay.
I love Joe. I love that little comment there, because you just don't know what number the last one's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Time. Born ready. Because, of course, on Friday, Kevin De Bruyne announced that this would be his last season at Manchester City. If you were like me and you were casually innocently scrolling Instagram, and then up popped a picture that said, "Dear Manchester," you knew what was about to come, and a little swipe broke your heart. But Kevin announced on Friday, and of course, if derby games aren't already big enough, this will be Kevin's last ever, his 22nd, his final Manchester derby. So before we have a chat about his legacy, let's have a look at some of his best derby day moments.
Everybody understands the meaning of winning the derby, but in the end it's 3 points, but it's a little bit more than that.
The Premier League is one of the greatest midfielders I ever played in this country, and I think that this club is no doubt without.
Kevin De Bruyne's throw-in goal. Kevin De Bruyne scores! De Bruyne! Inside 5 minutes.
Players come and go, you know, but the derby stays the same.
And here is Foden. And the follow-up from Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne puts it in, eventually had to go in.
I think I've been involved in 280 goals in terms of goals and assists. Unless you tell his influence in our success in the last decade, that would be impossible to imagine without him.
Delivery is deep, very deep. Gundogan hits a volley, and it's gone in! Oh my goodness me! İlkay Gundogan has scored 2 volleys from outside the area, and Manchester City have got the second leg of a treble, and they've beaten the oldest of enemies to do it.
Come on, there's no doubt he's one of the greatest.
No no doubt he is one of the greatest. Kevin De Bruyne's best Derby Day moments, some really special ones in there, from his first Derby Day in 2015 to his first goal in 2016. Of course, a double in the Derby in 2022, which was, of course, a 4-1 win for City. That assist for Haaland in Haaland's debut, and of course the assist for Gundogan for the second goal in the FA Cup final as well. So since Kevin joined us back in 2015, no player has assisted more goals, 117, or created more chances, 827, so casual 827 chances across all of Europe's big 5 leagues. Just, I mean, there's so many incredible stats that Kevin has broken. We could just spend the whole show doing that, but let's just kind of have a moment. First of all, JMO, when you heard the news that this is going to be his last season, what was your instant reaction?
I think it's how, like you said, Friday. I mean, I actually saw it on. This is how big it was. It was on the TV. It was kind of like whoa. But because it was a Friday, because of the way that it was, as I say, the wording of it, there was a lot of thought going into this. I can only imagine that there was a conversation with the manager at some point before the announcement. That would seem right, and therefore it was allowed to be done on the Friday. He's obviously fit enough and in the right place to captain the side. But then I thought, the fact that he's done all these things for 10 years, while City have been the best team in Europe, if not, well, in the world, within those 10 years, and he's seen all this happen. I think that's a testament to the quality and the level and the consistency of Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, absolutely. Joleon, what was your instant reaction? How did you find out?
Social media. I've seen it on Kevin's post and everyone else that kind of copied it and pasted it and stuff, but I kind of anticipated it, to be fair. I didn't think he was going to extend it. I think this is not just a solely football decision now. I think he's considering his family and what's next, and as he said, the peak of his powers is fairly past that now. So he's created an opportunity for himself to make this decision, and like I said, I just hope we just allow him to enjoy the last 3-4 weeks and praise him for, like JMO said, being that consistent. Like, Kevin De Bruyne is very, very good, world class, but he's been world class for 10 years. Like that is, it's not normal. That like any player at any level to perform at their best for 10 years is ridiculous, but to perform at the highest level for 10 years, yeah, that's not normal.
He well and truly found a home here in Manchester as well, JMO, because, of course, prior to that, he'd had the tough spell at Chelsea. I still love the fact that some of those pundits and commentators back in when we signed him said he was going to be a flop. Incredible. To then have had that tough spell and to have the resilience, then to come back and, like Joleon says, to have 10 world-class years. I mean, he really found his place in Manchester.
He did, and in his statement, he mentioned the kids have got Manchester in their passport. I mean, it's little things like that, which you don't need to put in necessarily, but he has made a point of putting in. He loves this city, he loves the club. It helps if you're a world-class player, of course. But as Joleon said, I went through all the, I said to you earlier, went through all the Manchester Derby goals in, I don't know, recent 15, 20 years, whatever. And like, oh yeah, I remember him. Players who did exceptionally well for very short periods of time. It was almost like, we need you for now, and then we can get someone else, if you like. Whereas Kevin was like punctuated all the way through the last 10 years and had massive influence on every moment of achievement. That is outstanding.
There was moments of that treble-winning season where, I mean, he dragged us through in games in the season, Joleon. That treble would not exist without Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that wouldn't exist without Kevin De Bruyne. So, like I said, you're not going to be able to isolate one season, one moment, and that's the beauty of it. We shouldn't look for the best Kevin De Bruyne moment. We should glorify the 10 years he's done it like that, like doing any job for 10 years that well. And especially when there's a physical element to it and there's a mental aspect to it and there's change to it. And yeah, I just can't praise that level of consistency enough.
Can I just quickly say, the other thing which I've noticed as well, apart from the odd haircut, which is a little bit flowy.
Yeah, he got down the jack route. He's gone down the jack route.
Briefer and down a jack route, but again, there's a consistency and aesthetic about him as well, which is kind of like you see him play consistently. He doesn't go for these mad, wild haircuts to say, "Look at me, I'm slightly different." There's something about him which is so down to earth. You go, "Yeah, well done."
He's had a glow up in recent years as well, hasn't he, Kev? He has.
For you to say. It's for you to say.
He's had a glow up, Joleon.
There you go then.
We love our Kev. We're going to miss him so much, but I'm so happy that we've got a few games now to the end of the season where we can celebrate him, and hopefully we pick up an FA Cup for his final trophy with City. Right, we're going to head back over to Old Trafford now for our final thoughts from FG and Brownie.
Final preparations before the Manchester derby. Kevin De Bruyne's last Manchester derby. He captains the side today, Brownie. You can see the players behind us high-fiving each other, motivating each other like they do every week. This is a big game. It's got a big game feel. They don't need any extra motivation today, do they?
It's a huge game, and as you mentioned, Kevin De Bruyne wanted one more shot, so he said, "I'll come when I'm ready. I've just got to sort that right foot out, have one more effort." Then he comes, filters in, joins the group. Again, concentration levels, but motivation. This is the Manchester derby. This is massive. All around the world, everybody watches this game. We all look for it. It's an exciting day. It's all about going to work as well the next day with a real positive result.
Yeah, with the bragging rights, and the players know about that. And you see Ruben Diaz in there as well, always the leader. And you can now hear the Manchester City fans making all the noise at Old Trafford.
Well, there you go. They know. There's the fans. That's it now. They know it's time to ramp it up, just like the players, the level, the concentration. It's a brilliant moment now. Do you know, like feeling your feet, understanding what's about to come next. These massive games of football where you're put under pressure, the big test, who's going to perform, who's going to produce. And there you go, Kevin De Bruyne, as expected. I hope he does something special today, because he's done it right throughout his Manchester City career.
I mean, how much confidence will that give him as we hear the Manchester City fans giving them a huge applaud and making loads of noise like they always do in the corner. It's a small corner, it's a sky blue corner, and there's a lot.
They don't want to give us too many, FG. We know that, because look, they're going to be so loud as it is. They're trying to drown out everybody now because they know that tempo's coming. But yeah, importance. We talk about confidence with players. I don't think these players need too much confidence, that belief from the supporters. They know that's there. They know that will come. They're all focusing now on how they can perform, what last little bits they need. And again, once you come out, then it's there. You're in that lineup, you walk, and away you go. Get your feel in the first few moments.
Heading into the game then, as we hear Manchester City again making all the noise in that corner. How are we feeling, Brownie, from a perspective of where we're going to be sitting?
I'm feeling really confident. I'm feeling good. It's a bit of a different one. We know that, because normally at the later stages there is real big sort of trophy moments, but this is about making sure that we get a result against our rivals. 4 in a row is mentioned. We know that was special, and it's just great, isn't it? Just great days. This is a football place, isn't it? Manchester. It's just a special derby. Never underestimate it.
Yeah, it's never underestimate the power of the smallest corner in Old Trafford making all the noise. Yeah, we'll leave you with that one then, shall we? I don't think they ever will win 4 in a row, but it's a massive opportunity for Man City to do something special here today. We're looking forward to catching up with you. It's time for the game very soon.
It's about the result, isn't it? That's it. The result.
Any win will do. Anything.
Thank you very much to FG and to Brownie today. That is our beautiful city today. The sun is shining down on Manchester ahead of the Manchester derby coming up. In less than 5 minutes now. Get your full match commentary with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown on the Manchester City app. If you're just joining us, you can see the starting 11 on your screen there, with Kevin De Bruyne captaining the side for his last ever Manchester derby. Right, gents, give me some quick final thoughts before I ask for your predictions. What do you think, Joleon?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure, more so what United are going to turn up. Like, I'm judging them on derbies, not solely their current form. So it's going to be tight. And I just hope in our period, we will have a period of dominance. I just hope we score in that period, and then it just deflates their hope and belief.
Just felt a bit sick in my stomach there when I saw the players in the tunnel. That nerves is kicking in. What sort of game do you think, David?
I think the control element will be countered by, again, what Joleon said there. The control element in the starting lineup, will be countered by United's thoughts on the game, but the Mamouche aspect, I think, is going to be the game changer in this. I think if he is, I'm not going to say up for it, but if he makes his choices correctly, he is the guy that could open the scoring. Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, it doesn't matter, he's captain. He doesn't need to get
looks focused.
Yeah, he just has to make sure he leads the team.
Score prediction, please.
I'm going to go 3-1 to City.
2-1 City.
Okay. Chelsea have drawn today, so should we win today, we will go into fourth. And don't forget that the away team has won 10 of the last 18 Premier League Manchester derbies. So the omens are good for us. Kevin De Bruyne leads us out there. Get on now if you're not watching on the Manchester City app for commentary from Alistair Mann and from Michael Brown. We will be back at half-time and full-time where hopefully I'm still laughing.
Thank you, Natalie. It's meeting 196 in one of the world's oldest football rivalries as City and United go head-to-head at Old Trafford. It's the third meeting of this season after the Community Shield won by the Blues and the league meeting at the Etihad snatched by the Reds. There's always a storyline when these two square up, and today the focus will fall on Kevin De Bruyne. This will be his last ever Manchester derby, almost 11 years after his first. Today he will go in search of his 10th win against United.